Good morning from the cab of what's being called the world's largest combine harvester. Not in the middle of a ripe field of barley, but on a manicured lawn with a bandstand of all places at the 167th Great Yorkshire Show. It is a huge yellow monster of a machine, and we're kind of surrounded by people looking up at us. Just one of the attractions on show for the 150,000 people who have been enjoying this 4-day celebration of farming, food and country life. Now, David Tite is the man responsible for pulling this whole event together, and we're just sitting here in the cab. I'm in the driver's seat, actually, and we're looking out over the showground. It's fantastic, isn't it?
It's absolutely glorious. What an opportunity to sit and watch the world go by. Tremendous.
In a massive combine as well. Very exciting.
Well, just look out of that window. All those people sat there having such a fantastic day. And there's 8,500 exhibitors at this show. And all of them are here to showcase the best animals that they can produce and the best animals in their industry. And they all come just to see, hey, hang on, that's a bit better than mine. and it's gorgeous to see. It's absolutely glorious to see.
It's baking hot outside. It's been really hot all week. It must be quite difficult keeping all of those animals cool. Animal welfare issues?
We're very, very keen on animal welfare. We have a biosecurity and animal welfare committee that's just literally talking about them all the time. We have an army of vets on site. We're making sure that the temperatures are right inside all the buildings, airflow is correct, we make sure the sun's off the animals. We're doing everything we can to make sure that they're fit and healthy.
And the sun is actually good for one aspect of something you're doing this year, because you are solar powered this year, aren't you, as a show?
We've just added another 1,538 solar panels to our buildings on the showground, so we've peaked at 3,500 panels on site. So 50% of all the energy used at this show is produced by the sun. And we're really proud. I think probably we're the only agricultural show in the United Kingdom that can say that figure.
I've come down to the sheep pens here at the Great Yorkshire Show. They've got 48 different breeds of sheep all competing here, and I tell you, there are some sheep that I've never heard of, never seen, that are very unusual in the way that they look. And I have just come across to a breed of sheep, and I don't know how to pronounce the name. Some people say it's Zwarble, some people say it's Zwartable. I'm with a man who can tell me. It's Ben State, who farms these sheep in the Cotswolds. They're black, they've got a white stripe down their face.
They're actually one of the largest breeds of sheep, and we pronounce it Zwartbles. So they're a Dutch breed, Zwart meaning black and Bles meaning blaze, so black with a blaze.
And that's exactly what they look like, isn't
That's
it?
correct, yeah.
Brilliant black, white blaze down their face. What's the quality of these sheep? Why do you keep them?
So the breed is mostly known for its maternal traits, so excellent mothering ability, lots and lots of milk. They have a lot of lambs.
And it's what's called the national show for this breed of sheep here at the Yorkshire Show. That means that the best sheep here is the best in the UK.
So these are the ram lambs here, and we were lucky enough to win with our best ram lamb here, who's actually remained unbeaten throughout this show season.
Yeah, well, they're looking very tranquil in here. This one's just letting me give him a good scratch behind the ears, and he's nuzzling you, probably after some food, I'd imagine.
Yeah, always looking for food.
The clock is now ticking. The pressure is really on now for these wool handlers.
Well, just next to the sheep stalls, there is an open-sided building with a raised stage, lots of sheep in it, and this is set aside for competitive sheep shearing. Susie Paris from Hampshire is competing here.
Today I'm doing 3 disciplines. So I'm doing the wool handling, which is where they roll the fleeces. I'm doing the blade shearing, which is the traditional hand shearing, and then I'm doing the machine shearing as well.
And how competitive does it get here?
Very. Farmers will make a competition out of anything.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been shearing for about 30 years and competing for about 16, I think so.
I mean, why do you compete?
I'm a really competitive person anyway, but initially I started because it's cheaper to enter a shearing competition than buy a ticket to get in the show.
Obviously, you need sheep that haven't been sheared already for a competition like this. I mean, well, some farmers just set them aside so that they can be sheared at the show. And is that fair for a very hot sheep on a very hot day?
Well, wool is a great insulator because it's such an amazing fibre. fibre. So the sheep will actually, you'll see when in this very hot weather, they just go and sit in the shade, whether they've been shorn or unshorn. And then they'll come out in the evening when it's cooler and eat. So as long as they're not being, rushed around with a dog or anything, they're quite content and they're not suffering. But we're taking the fleece off more for welfare, things with like fly strike that can be a problem.
Good luck in the competition. Hope it goes well.
Definitely need it.
There's always a lot of talk about politics at these large agricultural shows, and not just from the politicians. We've been discussing English agricultural policy on the programme all this week, so I'm going to ask some of these farmers here along the cattle lines what they think of it.
We're producing food for the nation, and it's as if they just want to get everything from abroad and not really care about it, and they want us to breed butterflies and look after bees. Like, we've all got to eat protein from somewhere, and it's not coming from birds and butterflies.
The SFI agreements have come out, but they're saying that 75% of the funding has already gone. Whatever happens in Westminster, they are divorced from reality up here in North Yorkshire.
How do you think DEFRA's getting on?
Not 50-50 at the minute. They're not doing a bad job, so yeah.
What would make it better? What do you want them to do more of?
Support farmers a bit more.
Yeah.
And just helping those small livestock farmers in terms of subsidies. And I just don't think there's the support there for those people. We've all got second jobs.
The Sustainable Farming Incentive,
Yeah.
that's the window has just opened for smaller farms. Are you in the SFI?
No, I just think the paperwork, everything around it is hard work. One of them about dry stone walling, I was laughing. They don't seem to support, I think about food produce, like helping us like with the everyday cost. Feed's gone up, fertilisers up, bedding's up. It's okay wanting us to maintain farm walls or maintain wild grassland and stuff like that, which obviously it's all important, but it's not supporting food production.
Can you make it pay without being any of these schemes? Because a lot of people say that's a problem.
It is a problem, and the only reason why we make it pay is because of our second jobs. Otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. So, but that's a good job, we love it.
Well, I've just caught up with Emma Reynolds, the DEFRA Secretary of State, out enjoying the sunshine here in Harrogate. Such a lot of farming excellence on show here. A lot of farmers. Have you had a chance to speak to any yet today?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah, I've been to visit lots of different stands. I've been to the cattle ring. I've celebrated some of the wins there. The young handlers were really impressive.
Well, I also really enjoyed wandering up and down the cattle lines, and I was talking to quite a lot of the farmers there. The ones that I've been speaking to have been saying that they feel that DEFRA just isn't doing enough to support food production, and they just feel that Westminster is out of touch still with farming.
So I think as we set out in our 25-year farming roadmap, the primary purpose of farming is food production. But obviously we regard food production and environmental sustainability as two sides of the same coin, because healthy soils lead to better crops. We've got to do better on both fronts.
And they say that they get that, but I spoke to 2 farming families and they all had extra jobs. None of them could make their farm work, and they didn't want to apply for SFI because it was too fussy and it was too difficult to fill in the forms.
Well, I'd encourage them to look again at the forms, because we've gone through the application process and simplified the process to encourage more people to apply. And the first window, which we've spent 75% of, has had a keen take-up, is for those small farms and those farms that aren't in any agreement. Window 2 will open in September. And yes, we have had good uptake, but we are also making sure that those who have expiring agreements can apply in window 2.
We've been talking about farming policy in England all this week. The consensus from the farmers that we've been hearing from is that there's great ambition, but nothing like enough money to achieve it.
Well, we secured £11.8 billion, a record amount for sustainable farming over the course of this Parliament. Of course, we have to make tough choices in government about what we spend that money on, but today I'm announcing £30 million for the Farmer Collaboration Fund over 3 years, and we're going to open that in September. And we know that by collaborating together, as Minette Batters said in her review, they become more profitable, more resilient, and that's what we're about.
There's going to be a new Prime Minister next week. Are you confident you're going to keep your job?
Well, look, that's entirely in the gift of the new Prime Minister. I would very much like to stay in my wonderful job as DEFRA Secretary of State, but it's Andy's decision as to who he appoints to Cabinet.
Well, Tom Bradshaw is president of the National Farmers Union. He has been out and about enjoying the sights and sounds of the show today. What is the mood amongst the farmers here today?
Given how challenging much of the economic environment is, particularly if you're an arable farmer, they're pretty upbeat, but these shows bring out the best in people. It's about that sense of community and sharing the problems, and actually there's quite a good buzz around.
More than 75% of the funding allocated to this first window of the Sustainable Farming Incentive has already been snapped up. How confident are you that there's going to be enough money to go around?
We've never been confident that the budget would be big enough. We know that there's £400 million of agreements ending by the end of this year. So to only have £240 million was never going to be enough. There's going to be such a clamour for that second window when it opens. And I think we've got to look at everything possible within DEFRA to try and make sure that budget really is adequate.
We're going to have a new Prime Minister next week and may well get a new Secretary of State and a new Farming Minister as well. How disruptive is all of this kind of ministerial churn?
I think what we need is continuity. We've had 7 Prime Ministers now in 10 years. We've had similar in DEFRA, and having the Secretary of State staying in place, now that she's got to understand the industry, she was pretty instrumental in the change to inheritance tax, so we can work with her, and I think that would be a real positive, because otherwise you've got to learn everything again and you go back to square one.
What do you make of this new funding that Emma Reynolds has announced today to help with collaboration between farmers?
Well, look, this was funding that was announced back at our conference in February, so it's not new funding. Collaboration between farming groups is really important for the future, but I think this funding is being promised to so many different groups. I'm not sure it's possible it can have the impact that is being suggested. So we welcome collaboration. Whether this fund will be transformational is yet to be seen.
I'm back on the cattle lines, and some of the livestock here is just about to head into the show ring.
I'm Di Harrison. I'm from Morley Herefords in Northumberland, and this is Morley Ishbel.
Yeah. She is beautiful, and you're making her much more beautiful at the moment. She's got 3 people working on her before she goes into the ring.
My husband Tom, he's brushing the hair upwards, so it's very like ladies' hair. We're trying to make it as full-bodied as possible and shine as much as possible.
And she's a deep chestnut colour, isn't she? Apart from her head,
white face and white socks and a white tail.
Show me the tail, because you've been doing some amazing work on this tail.
So the aim of the tail is to make the white, long tail into a big fluffy ball like candy floss, so that it fills the gap between the legs.
And that's exactly what it looks like. The hair at the end of the tail has been turned into this ball that's about, 8-10 inches across. It's extraordinary.
Yeah. So the white socks are like styled also upwards, and that's just to make the legs look a little bit more chunky.
What is the point of doing all of this?
It's a marketplace for our cattle, chance for other breeders to see what we have. It's a chance to draw the gap with the general public and lets them see what we do with the animals, how we care for them, how beautiful they look, and most importantly, where the food comes from, although there's a long way in between this stage and the food being on the plate, but it's important for them to learn.
Look, I'll let you get back to the grooming, because there's still stacks of work going on this animal. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Well, that's all we have time for here in Yorkshire. I'm Kaz Graham, the producer is Rebecca Rooney, and Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.